G'day camper. When you think about chemical toilets, what springs to mind? Well, if the image you conjure up is fear and mystery, I'm about to tell you the ins and outs of how these things work, and a few little tips the manufacturers don't tell you. So, let's start with choosing your toilet. Now you want to consider physical size and waste holding capacity. This is the Thetford 165 Porta Potti, 15 litre flush tank, 21 litre waste holding tank. You can get a very similar model that's got only a 10 litre waste holding tank. That's going to be great for weekenders. It's lower, so it's a smaller pack size, and that waste tank when full is going to be a lot easier to carry. However, because the tank's lower, the whole thing's more squat, you will be sitting lower when you go to do business. Now, of course, if your knees aren't quite what they used to be, that might make an impact. So you might want to be looking at this 165 or the Thetford 365 model. The Thetford model numbers don't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I do know the Thetford 365 has a nicer piston pump instead of this bellows pump, and you get a little indicator on the front here that turns red when the tank is full and needs to be emptied. Now finally, what about other brands? Well, I haven't tried any other brands. I went straight for Thetford because if they've been in the game forever, they're known for their quality, everyone says they're great. They get a whole range of spare parts. And I don't know about you, but to be honest, for me, I didn't want to mess around experimenting trying to find out which toilet doesn't leak or which one might have design flaws. A toilet is something I just want to work straight away. Now, if you do want to grab a Thetford toilet for yourself at the end of this video, I've put some affiliate links down below, so if you make a purchase there, you'll be helping me to do more informational videos like this. And just like that, we're on to how to set up your toilet. I begin by filling the flush water. I do this at home because 15 litres is actually a lot for me to sacrifice from my setup. But if you've got a caravan or a camper trailer or even a vehicle with more water on board, it's probably a better idea to do this at camp. Flush tank gets filled up just up here, just fresh water straight down in the spout. And then the next piece here is optional, aqua rinse. Bit of a double-edged sword, this stuff. On the one hand, by adding it to your flush water, it lubricates the bowl so that less stuff sticks, and it can also lubricate the seals to keep them in good condition. On the other hand, it is widely blamed for causing this black scum buildup inside the tank. Now that might be scum, it might be algae, I've never actually experienced it. But if you do choose to use it like I do, my best practice is to empty the entire flush tank after your camping trip and make sure you rinse it all clean. If you don't want to use aqua rinse, expect to do a little bit more cleaning of the toilet bowl and maybe the seals in your toilet won't last as long. And with that, here is my first no tip. Pack a small measuring jug with your toilet. I've used a shot glass in the past. It's about 30 ml, so I know how many doses I'm putting into the tank. But the problem with the shot glass is when you're putting blue in it, blue stains everything. Hang on a second, all right. What is blue? Let's talk about waste tank chemicals. Blue is the pretty well standard toilet chemical. This is the one I choose to use. I choose the concentrate one because the bottle's about half the size of the normal one, so it tucks away nicely in the bag. So this chemical is what breaks down all of the waste that goes into the bottom tank. And it stops your excrement from smelling like, well, excrement. This stuff just smells like cleaning. However, blue is pretty nasty stuff. Environmentally speaking, you can't use it in a septic tank because it kills the bacteria, ruins the septic system and causes trouble. If you choose to use blue in your chemical toilet, you can only use designated dump points. If you want to use a more environmentally friendly chemical, you've got to go for green. Green is septic tank safe. Many people say it doesn't break the waste down quite as well as blue, and the instructions on the bottle of green say that once you mix the chemicals, they'll do their job for about 4 days. Whereas if you look at the label on the blue chemical, one dose lasts up to 5 days. You can also get blue or green in a completely different form, which is a dissolvable pod. Drop that into the tank, add some water, it dissolves, starts working. Or you can try no tip number 2, which is use nappy sand in your waste tank. It is so much cheaper than the chemicals. It's eco-friendly and septic tank safe in small amounts, but it does take some experimenting to use effectively. You'll have to do your own reading on that because there's so many variables it'll take me too long to cover here. What I can tell you is that it does not mask smells effectively. A lot of people go and use a bit of lavender oil or eucalyptus oil and drop that in the tank, but everything you do is going to smell just like the day it came out. Okay, how to apply your chemicals. So once again, fill up your tank through the top here with fresh water, add a dash of pink if you like, according to the instructions on the back, cap back on, the flush tank's done. For the waste tank, this is what they recommend you do. Remove the top, access the waste tube here, cap off, and pour your chemicals recommended amount, either your blue, your green, or your nappy sand. Put your cap back on and reassemble your toilet. Now to me that always seems like a whole lot of hassle, so what I prefer to do is pull the valve on the front, lift the lid, and now through the toilet hole you've got access straight to the waste tank. Get your shot glass, or even better, your measuring jug with a nice long spout. Measure that in straight down the hole. Try not to touch the sides, like concentrated chemical, not the best for the seals. Add a bit of water to the tank. It recommends 2 to 3 litres of water. Close the valve, shut the lid. Now your toilet is ready for how to transport your toilet. Now hopefully you've been thinking about where in your setup you're going to carry your porta potty. Is it going to go in the caravan or in the camper trailer? Will it fit in your car, or does it have to go on the roof? So you'll be looking to poke this somewhere nice and secure where it can't move around. But at the same time, you don't want it to be awkward to access, because these things do get heavy. You don't want to get in an awkward position and stuff up your back. Sometimes mine just lives on the back seat, but I never let it ride the roller coaster without a harness. Other time it has travelled strapped onto the roof, but when the camper is in tow, we've got the perfect little spot for this just inside the door. And the way we're storing it there in the camper leads me to no shit tip number 3. Get a bag. Settle down, I mean a transport bag, of course. Thetford do one, but it's just polyester, so it's not liquid proof. Doesn't really look that flash. What I recommend is you get something with at least a PVC base in it. Blacksmith do a couple of nice versions. You can get them at Snowy's. I'll pop a link in the description for that. But I use Grab Me Gear Ultra Deluxe Dunny bag. Now, admittedly this did cost me twice what the Dunny cost me, but this thing's nice. 15 ounce defab canvas, 680 GSM truck type grade PVC liner that goes the full height of the bag. That Dunny would literally have to spill its whole contents to fill that up. Got this beautiful big zippered pocket on the front here. I use that to store my rubber gloves for cleaning and emptying the toilet. Both of my concentrate chemicals fit in there. Measuring shot glass, bit of hand sanitizer, the instructions in case someone forgets how to poop, bit of toilet paper. This bag also gives you tie down options on the sides. You can even tie down off the handles if you want to. If you do have to carry it external to the vehicle or trailer and you're going dusty places, it's got big dust flaps on it, so that keeps all the dust off your Dunny. Dunny stored. Now, imagine the first coffee of the day has kicked in. Let's talk about using your toilet. Wait, you thought you knew how to use a toilet? So did I, actually. Then this happened. Okay, it wasn't really that gruesome, but it could have been, which leads me to my no shit tip number 4. Lever before lid. These things are so well sealed that on a warm day, pressure builds in the waste tank. Now, if you open the lid, and happen to be standing over it when you pull that lever, that's how it goes. Give the flush bellows a good hard press. Doing this and pre-wetting the bowl before you use it helps things to go down smoothly and leave a bit less mess. And it's especially effective if you've got that pink chemical in with your flush water. Now you've got to get your aim good, okay? Go aim straight for the hole, because you see the angle on that bowl? It's pretty flat. If something lands there, that flush does not have enough oomph to flush it down. Then you've just got to, I don't know, I'll leave that up to your imagination how you get it into the tank. If you do leave any mess, you'll have to grab a bit of toilet paper and just wipe it off the bowl. And that actually leads me to my next no tip, number 5. Got to use the right toilet paper. I use Thetford toilet paper that's designed for porta potties because I'm not going through a huge amount of it. Yes, it is expensive, but it's designed to dissolve in the waste tank. If you're willing to experiment, you might find another toilet paper that does the same thing for a lot cheaper. But you need toilet paper that dissolves, otherwise emptying it is a proper nightmare and it gets clogged. Oh, but what about number ones? Well, ladies, you got this. You know how it works. Fellas, we've just got to be more like the ladies. It's low down, it's shallow. If you're standing up to do it, it's going to spatter all over the toilet and all over the shower tent. Finally, blade open or blade closed. I'm all about blade open, just for a clean path straight through to the waste tank. But I've heard some people do use it with blade closed. God, that sounds messy to me. I wouldn't want things to get minced up in my blade seal, to be honest. I guess what you can try is blade closed and add a bit of flush water to the bowl. Then you've got water in the bowl, a bit more like at home. Might help stop things from sticking. Up to you to experiment on that one, but you know what I do. So you've done your 4 or 5 days worth of business and your waste tank's full, or your camping trip's over. It's time to empty your toilet. Gonna get through this together, okay? I promise it's not that bad. First, you gotta make sure that valve is well shut. Now at the back of the toilet, there's a lever in here. Slide that across, doesn't move all that much. Tilt it up at the back. Separate the flush tank. Grab it by the handle back here. Don't worry, they are really well sealed. And head to your dump point. Now, if you're in town, this has to be done at a public dump point. If you're in a caravan park and even some campgrounds have a private dump point you can use. And this is the point where you want to get your rubber gloves on. Now, I often just empty mine straight into the toilet at home, and you can do that with any chemical in this waste tank, so long as you're connected to town sewer. If you're on septics, you have to use the green chemical or the nappy sand. Now, something I love about the Thetford Dunnies is they have this dumping pipe here. A lot of other models just have a cap on the back. It doesn't give you as much of an aim, so there's a bit more danger of making a mess of the toilet and slopping it around. Now we take this cap off. Brace yourself for the stink. And then realize it doesn't stink at all. It literally just smells like cleaning chemicals if you use the blue one. Might stink a bit more if you use the green or the nappy sand. The missile switch has been flipped, the landmines are loaded, and now to avoid friendly fire, look at this little button here. Hold this little button in as you tip it. That button lets air into the tank and stops that pipe from glugging. Like, it doesn't smell too bad when you're emptying it, doesn't look the prettiest. Excrement is excrement, what can I say? Finish the job, put a bit of fresh water down that spout, put the cap back on, swish it around, empty it, do that a few times until it's clean. And then if you're not using it again for a little while, it's time to store your toilet. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, I always empty the flush water tank for storage. Just water in there, so don't mind leaving that in the bush. If I've had the pink chemical in there, I'll rinse that out with clean water a few times, and I'll leave the cap off just to let it all dry out nicely. For the waste tank, I always leave the blade valve open. It just takes pressure off the seal, makes the seal last a bit longer. And of course, give everything a proper clean. With the flush tank, take the whole lid off, clean it like that. Give the bowl a good clean out, but never use any cleaners that have bleach in them, because this is plastic. It'll damage the plastic, and if you get it anywhere near the seals, it'll ruin the seals. Just a bit of water and vinegar is a great cleaning solution for that, or you can buy a Thetford special spray cleaning fluid, which has the added bonus of lubricating the seals and especially the pooper valve seal. Well, I hope this video has eased your mind. I learned a few of these tips the hard way, and if you've learned any toilet tips the hard way, make sure you share them in the comments so we can all laugh at your expense. Or just share some of your tips, that's fine too. Especially, actually, if you've used nappy sand. I'm really curious to know how that went for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.